स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् शुश्रूषोषद्ददानस्य वासुदेवकथारुचि स्यान्महत्सेवया विप्रा पुण्यतीर्थनिषेवनात् शृण्वता स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृद्यन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तदा रजस्तमो भावा कामलोभादयश्च ये चेतयेतेरनावृत्तं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते विद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिश्चिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वरे ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Okay, so the first set of prayers that we offered really invokes the blessings of spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya and the whole disciplic succession, as we all know, going back to Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And then the second set of prayers are glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam that are found in first canto, second chapter, verse number 4 and verse number 14 to 21. Or yeah, 15 to 21. So now we are getting into today, we are entering Dvaraka, or we are going to see Krishna's entrance into Dvaraka and what his devotees in Dvaraka express. So their beautiful relationship between Krishna and his devotees. Basically, the Bhagavatam is filled with this narrations of beautiful relationship and exchanges between Krishna and his devotees. And just by being present with these messages, our life becomes purified, and our original nature to hear more about Krishna and his devotees becomes awakened. So this is the beauty of Bhagavatam. Okay, so we will go into the verse today. One second, I'm pulling up. Okay. So reading from Canto 1, Chapter 11, verse 11. So this is Suta Goswami speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya. Suta uvacha anartan sa upavrajya svriddhan janapadan swakan dadmau daravaram tesham Vishadam Samayanniva. Suta Uvacha, Suta Goswami said, Anartan, the country known as Anartan, Dvaraka. Saha, he, Upabrajya, reaching the border of Swaradhan, most prosperous, Jana Padan, city, Svakan, his own, Dadmau, sounded, Daravaram, the auspicious Kongshal Panchajanya, Tesham, of them, Vishadam, dejection, Samayan, pacifying, Iva, seemingly. Translation. Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dvaraka, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. So it's a beautiful verse. Let's read the purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dvaraka for a considerably long period because of the battle of Kurukshetra. And thus, all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholia due to this separation. When the Lord descends on the earth, his eternal associates also come with him, just as the entourage of a king accompanies him. Such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls, and they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment because of intense affection for the Lord. Thus, the inhabitants of the city of Dvaraka were in a mood of dejection and expected the arrival of the Lord at any moment. So, the heralding sound of the auspicious conch shell was very encouraging, and apparently the sound pacified their dejection. They were still more aspirant to see the Lord amongst themselves, and all of them became alert to receive him in the befitting manner. These are the signs of spontaneous love of God. So, until in the last chapter, we heard the parting glories, or the glories of Krishna, or the prayers or sweet talks of the ladies of Hastinapura about Krishna. And we heard how it is even regarded by Krishna more than the Vedic hymns that are offered with awe and reverence. So here we see the next set of devotees who are actually wanting to welcome the Lord. The future verses of this chapter and 4, 5, 6, 7, all these verses will say their mood and their affection, their faith, and their conviction on Krishna. So now with this verse, Suta Goswami is saying, he is giving like a backdrop for us, right? So when something great is going to happen, we go and assess. We are very detail oriented. When something big is going to happen, at least detail orientedness only means that we have so much affection. So we can say in this world, we can take an example. When a child is born, or when parents, have children, when they are newborn, or even when the child is in the tummy, in the womb of the mother, every move the mother feels, he could, oh, this happened, oh, that happened. There's always like, and then nowadays we have ultrasound, and they go inside, and then they say that this is the baby and this is the features and all that. So every detail touches our heart, right? It invokes affection. And when we see sometimes in the car rear view mirror, people hang little baby shoes, and it invokes affection. It's not just, nobody likes to, if I if I give my shoes to somebody and have it in the rear, nobody's gonna. It's really yucky, it's unclean. But baby shoes, they hang it, and then every move, everything reminds them of Krishna. Reminds them of their child. So that's the invoking of affection, even with the articles that are used by our dear ones. That we experience it in this world as well. But here it is totally transcendental. Now we are seeing Suta Goswami is painting a picture of background for us now. Before even before even our really knowing what Krishna said, what the devotees said, all these, we haven't come in contact with their conversation yet, but their expressions are being described. So here we see, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, we have to note here, it is most prosperous. There's nothing that is lacking for these citizens of Dvaraka. They have every single thing possible, and prosperity means they have all facilities, they have all kinds of amenities. They're not in poverty or something. They're not looking up to God or Krishna for their needs to be fulfilled in terms of basic food, water, shelter needs, or anything like that. They have everything already, and they themselves are people who can spread prosperity because of holding Krishna in their heart. So there's nothing lacking for them, basically, right? And so, but still, when they just heard the Lord sounded conch shell, auspicious conch shell, we all must know from Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya, right? His conch shell Panchajanya, the beautiful pinkish white conch shell, when he blows the conch shell, and Arjuna blows his conch shell, and all the other Pandavas blow their conch shell, which shatters the heart of the opponents. In the sense, vicious people, right? Like Kauravas. So it is auspicious because it invokes love in devotees and invokes fear in those who are demoniac by nature. So it's auspicious. And then heralding his arrival, he also wants to he's also thrilled to come back. And it's not like we have to think, if we go, for example, if we go leave our family and then go somewhere, we'll be missing the family. And then we spend our time with friends and come back or something. Now then we'll be missing friends. Even for insignificant, like small people like us, we think of so many people sometimes. We think of so many of our dear ones at a point of time. Now for Krishna, everybody is dear. Everyone is actually his part and parcel, and everyone is his devotee. And so he's also thrilled to come back, even if he feels separation from the Pandavas for leaving them behind in Hastinapur, and Vrindavan was in Vrindavan. But now when he enters Dvaraka, he's fully present. So he's heralding his arrival by blowing the conch shell. And we are still in the translation, by the way. We'll try to finish the purport in 5 minutes. So the last part of this translation, we should say, and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. So what is this dejection? This dejection is not of a material kind. It's not, it's their desire to serve the Lord directly and just glorify him in his presence, and being around him they have been missing that since Krishna went to Hastinapur. So they are all dejected. Later verses we will see that all these queens, they were just sitting as if in meditation. They will even say, Dwaraka will even say that it's like without the sun, our vision doesn't have any value, right? If it is all dark all over the place and I have 20 vision, it doesn't make any difference. So they say that just like without the sun, the vision doesn't have any value. Without you, we didn't feel any value in our lives. So that's their mood. So they're eagerly hankering and waiting for Krishna. Just by hearing the conch shell, they feel pacified, but not completely. They don't want to be back with Krishna. So that's why the word apparently is used. Iva in Sanskrit, seemingly. So seemingly pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. So they're not completely pacified because Krishna hasn't come in front of them, but just by hearing some level of, satisfaction, some level of hope, some level of pacification or pacifying is taking place in their heart. So now let's go into the purport quickly. The beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis, and so everybody was overcome with separation. Melancholia means almost like depression, not really like a medical depression where people are so self-absorbed now. It's not like that, because in material dejection and depression, there's the difference, right? The material kind of depression and dejection happens when one is so self-absorbed. It's a low self-esteem situation, basically. But spiritual kind is absorbed in serving Krishna. And when I'm going to serve him again, so it's not about me, it's about the Lord. So they have this melancholy due to separation. So we have to understand that these are not like, they have always lived with Krishna in the spiritual world. They are eternal associates. So for them, even a moment of separation becomes so hard. It's so difficult, right? So when we hear, we are not reading 10th canto now, I'm not qualified to read 10th canto, but we see that we have heard so many times that the gopis don't even like the blinking of their eyelids, because they when they blink for that half of lava matra, like little 1/12 of the second, they are not able to actually see Krishna. So that is their heart. When we compare here, we are actually separated from Krishna here. Actually, factually, even though Krishna is in our heart as a super soul and he's always present with us, he's our dearmost friend and spiritual master is there, but our consciousness is not completely absorbed there. At the consciousness level, we are factually distanced ourselves from Krishna. But what level of separation do we feel, and do we even want to connect with the separation and see how to connect back? This is Brahma Jignasa. This is Shreya Uttama, like ultimate good. When one wants Shreya Uttama, ultimate good, when one is really Brahma Jignasa means inquiring about oneself and one's identity and relationship, then we need a spiritual master. So I'm bringing this point here because until we really have the shelter of a spiritual master, our inquiries may remain just as inquiries, or how to say it? It might just even turn into curiosity sometimes, rather than having inquiring for shreyas or ultimate good. So here we see them, how much separation they're feeling, and they're feeling intense affection, waiting for the Lord to come back. So this beautiful conch shell blowing from Krishna has just told them that, oh, Krishna is coming now. Let me get ready to receive him. So the future verses will be telling about how they just jump out of whatever they're doing and they get ready to offer their affection and respect to the Lord at an appropriate way, befitting manner, Prabhupada says in the last sentence, befitting manner. They became alert, basically. They just became alive and alert that, oh, Krishna is coming. And now they're going to receive him in a befitting manner. Befitting manner means according to their relationship with Krishna, they will receive him, right? Queens of Dvaraka or his wives will receive him in a certain way. parents will receive in certain way, ministers will receive in certain way, and citizens will receive in certain way. So everybody has different kind of relationship with Krishna, right? So, but the beauty is they are happily situated in their relationship and expressing their heart according to their connection with Krishna, and not trying to imitate somebody else's. Like if imagine if Uddhava, our minister, right, or his friend, if he starts thinking, I'm only a minister, I'm only a friend, I want to be connecting to Krishna like a parent, and he imitates Vasudeva or Devaki or Nanda Maharaj or somebody, how would it be? It would be unreal, because he is a friend, he has a unique relationship. So I'm bringing this point because Prabhupada is putting a befitting manner. Befitting manner is one acknowledging Krishna in his mood towards us, and acknowledging us and our mood towards him, and acting appropriately. Of course, we are not relating to Krishna and acting in Krishna's presence right now. We all are recommended to be in dasyam, servant of the servant mood, under the guidance of Prabhupada or his disciples. So, and the devotees, senior devotees in our community, under their guidance, we are advised to just move steadily at a servant of servant mode. But we can see that this feeling of what do you call competition or this comparison and envy and these kind of things don't have to enter our hearts, even within the interaction with devotees, even within the interaction that we have with each other. Each person may have different kind of relationship with each other. Of course, this is at a very deeper level. It is not probably relevant right now, but these are my inspirations. So to summarize, Krishna is entering Dvaraka, and Suta Goswami is giving a backdrop of what the scene is. He's just like giving us a setting the scene, and then preparing us to see what is happening, what's going to happen here. So he's setting the scene, and we see that the Dwaraka is not lacking anything. Even in the absence of Krishna, they have all prosperity that they need, all the amenities and facilities, and every need of their subsistence and heart is actually met, already arranged by Krishna. But still their eagerness to receive Krishna is the topmost. Let alone all the comforts that they have, they don't even care for it. So they just want to have Krishna back. And then Krishna's conch shell is auspicious. We discussed about that, how it invokes love in devotees and invokes fear or animosity in demoniac people with demoniac mentality. And then we saw that just as much as the devotees in Dwaraka are eager to have Krishna back, here Krishna is also eager to be back. So he's announcing his arrival basically at a subtle way by blowing the conch shell. And by doing this, he is actually pacifying the heart's dejection of the Dwarakavasis, apparently pacifying, or at least to some extent. Actually, apparently seemingly doesn't mean it's not, no effect. It means to some extent. To some extent, at least they can be pacified. Oh yeah, Krishna is coming. So every sign, every expression of Krishna or his devotees, and specifically spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada towards us, is valuable. Whether they directly come and acknowledge us, or all this kind of expectation that we may have, or just give a broad smile at some point, or don't even we sometimes feel unnoticed and all those things. Any expression that comes from pure devotees and Krishna is so valuable that we just cherish in our hearts for the rest of our existence, actually, not just this life. That will bring us to transcendental platform. So with that, I will conclude the beautiful entrance of Krishna into Dvaraka. The next few verses are more elaborating about Krishna's conch shell, his blowing and how it looks and all that. And then the next few verses are beautiful prayers, not actually prayers, the conversation of Dvarakavasis to Krishna. They're very favorite verses that I have in that section. So I'm eagerly waiting to read that also. We will pause here, and if anyone has anything to share, bring up a discussion point, or clarify something, offer some additional points or corrections, please welcome. Everyone is absorbed in thinking about what Prabhupada described in purport.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It's very wonderful the way you were saying we are entering Dwaraka. I thought you were taking us. It's really beautiful how,
I
Srimad
don't have the
Bhagavatam.
capacity, as you know, but Prabhupada does through his purports.
Yeah, and Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Just by connecting, as you were describing, at the beginning, just by connecting to this message, we can literally feel the presence. And I was really touched by this point you were describing about the details and the analogy of the baby, right? It's really very touching. I mean, sometimes I used to wonder, like, Putana pastime or something, when Mara speaks, he really spends so much time on those details.
Yeah.
Like this happened and then 12 miles long and the arms went here or there. Like, I used to wonder, what are these details really doing about? And when you described it, really bringing about that affection and that deeper connection, it's like, each little thing about that beloved is so valuable and we get so much pleasure in that connection. So that was really touching for me to, hear or read from next time onwards from Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam when I come across those details. I'm praying to have, this remembrance why those details are important for us to cultivate that connection.
Yeah, the details we know from Yamuna Mataji. I'm pulling another example here, that when she cooked for Prabhupada, she had utmost focus in doing that service, and she was very particular about the measurements and details. And when she wrote the cookbook that we all know, the Yamuna Devi's Skills, and it's award-winning bestseller book of those times, she revised it. We read from Dinatarani Mataji's bio about Yamuna Mataji, that she revised it so many times. She was so detail oriented. I mean, there is just one example. We have so many examples, actually. We have so many examples of how, when we see they don't show off. When, the pure devotee, they don't show off that they are detail oriented, but we will know just by observing how much they are detail oriented. And that's the most amazing thing in Prabhupada too, right? Like when he did his purports, he never like, what do you call, he always gave focus to every single page of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and Krishna book. So he used to tell, even if one attentively, with wholehearted devotion, read one page or one paragraph, one sentence or one word from Krishna book, their spiritual life has stepped up one more step. So the detail that anyway, this point can go forever. I don't want to talk more, but yes, thank you for bringing that focus back on that point, Amritakali Mataji. Any other thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare
All
Krishna.
glories to Your Majesty.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Just want to support, I mean, what Amatikali Mataji was saying. I mean, you have set the mood for something so sweet to happening. And it is very nice, Mataji.
Yeah.
So heart feeling, Thank you so much.
It brings happiness to our heart,
Brings
right? It's Sutta
happiness. It
Goswami.
really puts you in that mood of expectation, and something really beautiful is happening here.
Yeah.
Thank
Sutta
you.
Goswami is expert. All our acharyas are expert. Prabhupada is furthermore expert, and we have everything in our hands. I don't think I would ever feel this kind of a feeling if I just read Bhagavatam by myself, or like there's a translations or some random book or something. This is really transcendental, so it's touching our hearts beyond our coverings. It is going in. So thanks for bringing that, Mataji. Yes.
The way you have, it is very, very, very nice, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Please accept my humble obeisances.
Please accept my humble obeisance.
Mataji, your class today seemed to come right through your heart. The reason I'm saying that is, I've heard so many times from Maharaj and so many others that, the paraphernalia of the Lord is also, but I never really got the meaning of it, though I revered those things. But today, when you gave that comparison of, how you adore the things that your loved ones, like your baby or somebody, is so dear to you, that probably kicked my understanding one notch up, and that really helped me. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Yeah, that's the analogy that we have heard from Prabhupada. It's not my own imaginary analogy. I don't have that much brain space, but yes, it is true. And we think of the museums, history museums, this and that, and all kinds of stuff that are in the world. It reminds us of the past history. But when we are attached to that person in the history, it invokes feelings, right? We go to New Vrindavan. It's of course there is transcendental and material. Whatever is here, it's all, even if some feelings get invoked in us, it's out of attachment to material attachment basically. But you go to some places where Mayapur or Radha Damodar in Vrindavan, or even our New Vrindavan here in West Virginia, and you go into Prabhupada's room, at least mainly in Radha Damodar in Vrindavan. You go into Prabhupada's room, you feel something in there. You really feel such a sacrifice he has done for us in that tiny little kitchen, and looking over to Rupa Goswami's Samadhi. We are actually very fortunate to have these remnants reminding us of Prabhupada, giving us the same potency. That's why, this is another area of, I think I go into some tangent when you bring up these points. But there is a place, 64 Samadhis in Vrindavan. The Samadhis of our Acharyas, basically. Some are Pushpa Samadhis, some are, you just walk into that space. You just don't feel like you are in this world. They are living there, and they have the potency to, the transcendentalists have the potency to give beyond material coverings. That's why our hearts are getting touched, right? We all know that we are covered with air, earth, water, air, fire, ether, and then, my God, the next layer is terrible to counteract the mind, intelligence, false ego. It's like so thick. And then this transcendentalist can penetrate through that. That's the power of Prabhupada, that he gives details to us. So we actually become, it invokes affection. It invokes our natural propensity to hear and be eager for hearing more. So anyway, Prabhu, thanks for bringing that up. It makes sense that now when you're saying that we hear paraphernalia is Krishna's paraphernalia is also potent, all this kind of things, but unless we relate, we don't really relate actually at one level. We only stop with the awe and veneration, rules and regulations, that level. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. One other, if anybody has any last thought, Mataji, I see Premananda Mataji, you're there. You want to please add your appreciation and attachment to Bhagavatam is always inspiring to me beyond words. And I'm finding myself very fortunate to be in this association of all the devotees and um, your presence. So please.
Very happy to hear from you, Shatrupa. I joined somewhere in the middle, but it was wonderful to hear whatever I heard. Thank you so very much. I don't want to add anything and delay this class. So many devotees will be speaking the rest of it, how Krishna entered Dvaraka.
Yeah.
And Krishna's comings and goings, comings and goings, comings and goings. That is the whole, that whole, what to say? It's not Krishna being present in one place alone that enhances the attraction for Krishna, for whether it is the residents of Dwarka or whether it is the residents of Vrindavan, Krishna or Mathura. It's all about his coming and going. And of course, the main points, whatever it is that I heard when you were talking, it implies all of that, because every single time Krishna is coming and going, there is so much emotions created in the hearts of the devotees. And there is a lot written by all our acharyas on this, of course, Srila Prabhupada, and the things that you mentioned about even by a look or a glance from a spiritual master, how it stirs emotions in the hearts of devotees, and a kind of an indication of what it feels like. It's not, of course, we cannot compare anything, and yet, it is not at all surprising when you think about it, how much of an emotional turmoil Krishna creates in the hearts of his devotees, which is the whole the whole excitement and all the feelings of separation, which brings about more feelings of happiness. And this is all, everything is there in Bhagavatam. And so we always think about Vrindavan, mostly like Krishna and Vrindavan, but what is happening anywhere when Krishna is coming and going? It's a big subject matter, and I think it is in one essence, it is the entire centerpiece of Krishna's activity, his comings and goings. And it's not like just any coming and going, and it just brings you so much of happiness in your heart when you just think about what would that scene look like. And Bhagavatam is giving a little taste of it.
Preview.
And one can so much meditate upon it, and what you spoke was very, very appropriate and so wonderful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So we will end here, even though we haven't heard from many devotees attending the call here, but it's 7:41. Just to respect everyone's time, we've already gone over 10 minutes. But thank you so much for your association, and thanks for hearing me out. And let us pray that we always remain in the shelter of the purports of Srila Prabhupada. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashya Hare Krishna.